My father was in the north working as a quarryman, and he told me about a gold mine called the Macassa mine. It was one of the deepest mines in the Western Hemisphere. And he said, if you're going to do something in photography, you should do something that really means something and has a history to it that people should know about that they don't know about. And really, this area had been sort of lost in the history books. When I first went north, I went to Kirkland Lake. It's very flat, green trees, a lot of rock. I got there, I just thought, where the hell have I come to? And it was almost like these outposts. No one's really meant to go live up there. The cage is the elevator that takes the men down. When the door closes, between the top of the door and the top of the cage, it's open space, and you see the rock going by. You know, I've been mines where I get dropped off, 6,900 foot level, 7,000 foot level. Basically, there's one hoist cable. It's so stretched by 7,000 feet that when you stop, the cage is bouncing up and down, and you got to wait for it to get above the level, and you jump out. So once they put the shafting, which is the vertical access tunnel, like an elevator shaft, that takes you to the depth of the ore body, another group of miners come in and start blasting horizontal tunnels from the access shaft into the ore body. It's almost unbelievable to witness a group of men come to a solid block of rock and start drilling and start blasting holes 7,000-8,000 feet underground. These guys tunnel and blast through rock like armies. A miner usually is like the ultimate mechanic. They do plumbing. They got to advance all the pipes for the water and the air for the drills. Like it's like the most awesome construction and deconstruction site. One miner said, "I work really hard every day to make my workplace safe so I can blow it up every day." So everything costs money. So the less waste rock you move out, the more money you make. So what you'll see is a lot of smaller gold mines. Instead of large mechanized mining, you'll have miners following a vein of gold with small hand drills called jackleg drills. This is a lot more dangerous, this kind of mining. You can hear the ground cracking. It's just like little releases of pressure, like crack, crack, crack. And it's when you don't hear the sound that there's a problem. That means the pressure is building up and there's going to be a big rock burst or a cave-in. When you get into a mining area, the hole becomes much, much bigger. You can drive ore trucks. There are machine shops. I mean, it's an underground city. Basically, all the rock you mine, you crush it, and you send it to a mill to extract the metals from the rock. Just to give you an idea, the Clarabelle mill, which is Inco's main mill, its capacity per day to process rock is 31,000 tons a day. They smelt it, they refine it, and then they sell it to people to make bikes, pots, pans, jewelry, iPhones, iPods. Everything we do, everything we have, if it doesn't have metal in it, we use metal to make it. These are very hard towns to live in. As much as there's a lot of beautiful nature and you're sort of away from the big city, and that's a life that a lot of people desire, there's no forgetting that you're in a mining town. And the economy of your town rises and falls with the stock market. It's a small community and everybody sort of parties together. It's not uncommon for a bar to have every age group and every demographic. Work hard, play hard, I went to this Italian dance and someone there said, "Yeah, it's the widow's table." And all of them had a story of how their husband had worked in a mine or a smelter and died of either in an accident or of some disease, cancer. And it just seemed normal. Like their husbands went to war and they never came back. When they started smelting in Sudbury in the early days, they used to just pile a bunch of logs and trees and then put the ore on top of it and just light it on fire and let it burn forever. At cobalt, there's a lot of arsenic, a lot of other chemical poisons. There were no controls, like, hey, just dump it over there, who cares? There are some real nasty disasters back there. Even if we've improved, really we're going in circles. When we go into recycling now, when you recycle, most of the metal is processed in some of these smelters. Computers, cell phones, they all end up in a smelter. Treating people a certain way in their workplace was being justified because of the war effort. And the subsequent years that followed, in the 50s and the 60s especially, there were wars going on in the streets of these mining communities with huge labor unrest, pitched battles between companies, the police, and striking unions and miners. These miners may get paid really well now, but we need to understand is that there's a huge influence from the corporate sector and from the political world. Think of the billions of dollars involved in what happens in that mine. I've been with a lot of miners who are very skilled workers. There's a real skill to understanding the rock. They're almost like whalers. And it's almost becoming a lost generation because they're mechanizing mining so much. This miner here is Lester Beatty. He was very strong, hard-working, this back-breaking sort of job, and he just did it. As soon as he got there, he started, and he wouldn't stop to the end. And I spent a lot of time with Lester. Lester's passed away. I didn't realize it at the time, but Lester was sort of symbolic of this crossover, the changeover. He was a hard man. These guys are real development miners, probably over 6 feet tall, probably 250, 260 in weight. The raw power of these guys is really remarkable. But bone and flesh always lose to steel and rock. You have things that crush rock. You have explosives. And the deaths are always quite horrible. Crushed, suffocated, blown up. Huey fell down a shaft in an accident and was paralyzed for the rest of his life. He has bed sores from how much he's in bed. And his wife pretty much just has cared for him his entire life. He was quite jovial, actually, considering his situation. The opening quote I have in my monograph, Cage Call, is, "It was not by gold or by silver, but by labor that all wealth of the world was originally purchased." And that's Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, 1776. And he says it pretty plain. Mining isn't in place for only the good of the world or the advancement of the world, but it's also there for profit. And it's not just profit for the mining companies. It's profit for the entire economies that all of us are a part of, whether we like it or not.